You know what? I'm about to say it.
Say it.
I actually really loved Poor Things. I thought everything about this movie was exceptional. The sets, costuming, storytelling, and the Emma Stone of it all is practically perfect in every way.
Practically perfect in every way.
I also know a lot of people feel like this movie is a woman's nightmare, but I think this movie is beautiful and relatable. Even though I could do a deep dive into the men in this movie and why they're all awful, there are plenty of other videos that discuss this problem with the movie. Instead, I would much rather talk about the things I love about this female Frankenstein story. So without further ado, I'm Jekyll Hyde, and today we will be breaking down Bella Baxter's psychosocial development using Erikson's theory of human development as our guide. Let us begin with a little bit of background info, shall we? Yorgos Lanthimos adapted the book Poor Things by Alistair Gray into a stunning yet controversial film starring Emma Stone, Mark Ruffalo, Willem Dafoe, and Rami Youssef. I hope his name is Rami. I did not do enough research. Poor Things was nominated for 11 Oscars and deservedly won 4 of them, for makeup and hair, costuming, production design, and an extra special win to Emma Stone for Best Actress, playing the incomparable Bella Baxter. I am very much partial to Emma Stone. She could do absolutely no wrong in my eyes, and I am madly in love with her. Poor Things is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. The only thing that would make this movie even better than it already is would be to make it a musical, but maybe that's just me. But really, this movie is so wonderfully done. Snaps for this movie, snaps for Emma Stone, snaps for Yorgos Lanthimos, and snaps for Jesse Plemons. Oh wait, Jesse Plemons isn't in this movie, but snaps for Jesse Plemons anyways because I'm obsessed with him. Poor Things is about a woman named Victoria Blessington who jumps off a bridge while with child.
Norbit, please, I'm a child.
Willem Dafoe plays a mad scientist, aptly named Godwin Baxter, and upon discovering her body, he decides to replace Victoria's brain with the brain of her unborn baby. From what we can see, this is Godwin's side hustle. After playing Mars Attacks with Victoria, he renames her to Bella Baxter and decides to raise her as his daughter. Trauma ensues for both Bella and the audience when she prematurely discovers her sexuality, which leads her to being taken advantage of by Mark Ruffalo's character Duncan and arguably Rami Youssef's character Max. We are going to be breaking down this movie from beginning to end, so hopefully you've got an idea of the context regarding Bella's life and development before we get started. Please, please, please watch Poor Things before watching this video because the movie is so good and so worth watching in full, and it will hopefully help you understand where I'm coming from if this deep dive gets confusing at all. Hopefully it won't, but I'm not a professional. Now for the boring stuff. Erikson's theory of human development is a series of psychosocial stages a person will encounter throughout their life, defined by social interaction and internal conflict. The idea is that we will leave each stage finding a balance in our internal conflict and gain a virtue as the outcome. Even though Erikson's theory has faced criticism because it lacks specific details as to what exactly a person needs to do in order to become successful in each stage and then move on to the next, I think the interpretation of these stages in Poor Things is so interesting, and it really made me fall in love with the film. So we're going to go through this movie, defining each stage, then discussing how Bella Baxter experiences the stages, and how her outcome influences the next stages to come. Fresh out of the womb, a person will experience their first internal conflict. This would be the trust versus mistrust phase. During this stage, an infant learns to trust their parents, and in turn trust the world by having their affection, comfort, and food needs met by their guardians. If the parents do the absolute bare minimum, the child will develop hope as their outcome. Hope is defined by Erikson as an openness to the world while being wary of danger present. Godwin mentions early in the movie that Bella is developing quickly, so we experience this stage with Bella for the shortest amount of time. In the beginning, we see that all of Bella's needs are being met. She's eating food at the dinner table, she receives affection from Godwin in the form of a forehead kiss, and she gets comfort from laughing at Godwin's burp bubble. Laughing is a form of comfort, right? Let's just go with it. According to Erikson, a child needs to experience what it's like not having their needs met sometimes in order to achieve that balance of mistrust. As far as we can see, Bella's needs are always being met. Later, we'll see that this results in her being overly trusting of the world and strangers, making her open to experience new and potentially dangerous things. In our very next scene with Bella, she's already in her second stage of development. Autonomy versus shame and doubt is the internal conflict that defines this stage during early childhood. In this stage, a child will learn how to gain control of their actions and bodily functions in order to explore their independence. Potty training is a good example of how a child learns to control their bodily functions, as well as how their parents and peers make them feel about how they exercise their autonomy. If a child is shamed for their accidents, they will end up feeling like they lack self-control. If all goes well during this stage and the child is able to find a good balance between autonomy and shame, they will gain the confidence they need to act with intention, the outcome otherwise known as will. According to Erickson, the shame wizard, everyone needs a healthy dose of that sweet self-loathing shame in order to balance their autonomy, or else a kid will be out of control. When Bella meets Max for the first time, she hits him in the face with the palm of her hand with a desire to see blood. Instead of shaming her for hitting Max, Godwin instead teaches her how to properly pronounce blood. Very soon after hitting Max, she soils herself. And again, she isn't punished, just cleaned up after. This results in Bella's will becoming too strong, as she now lacks restraint and self-control, which can be seen by her actions in the very next stage. During elementary school age, the last time a lot of us remember being genuinely happy, a child can expect to experience the internal conflict initiative versus guilt. Through play, children learn how to exert their power over the world. Normally, when children try to exert too much power, they will be ridiculed and experience guilt. If you were anything like me when you were young, you would know what it's like to be a loud, opinionated, and bossy little girl, only to have been guilted and shamed into becoming a shy emo preteen. Children who find a good balance between initiative and guilt will gain a sense of purpose, defined as the power to individually act on one's will and a willingness to work well with others. When Bella sees Godwin and Max operating on a person, she desires to also partake in the cutting of cadavers. This is her way of using play to exert her power and feel like she is participating with the world. Soon after this, Godwin tells Bella her parents were explorers before they died, and this gives Bella a sense of purpose to be an explorer too. When Bella eventually demands to go outside and look at world, Godwin initially says no. Bella, not used to being told no, begins smashing jars in Godwin's operating room until he eventually agrees to take her on a little trip. While in the carriage, Godwin tells Bella that the world is a scary and dangerous place in order to guilt her away from wanting to go outside again. While this leaves Bella a little disturbed, she's ultimately left unfazed, remaining her strong-willed and ever-trusting self. They end up going to a swampy field where Max finds a small frog to show Bella. As soon as Bella sees the frog, she excitedly tells Max to kill it. Max then instinctively covers the frog with his hands, trying to protect it, but Bella smashes his hands together, killing the frog with delight. This is a great example of Bella using her will with intent, otherwise acting on her purpose. On their way back home, Bella wants to stop for ice cream. Godwin tries to deter Bella by again using the guilt tactic, telling Bella that people laugh at God, stare at God. Bella tries to reassure Godwin by saying people would like his funny dog face, but Godwin doubles down and tells her no again. Instead of feeling guilt, Bella lashes out and starts screaming and throwing herself out of the carriage. Godwin handles this like any responsible Casey Anthony-like parent would and suffocates her with chloroform. This shows how the lack of shame Bella felt as a child impacted her ability to feel guilt during this stage of her development, and led to her becoming out of control like those kids you see on leashes. Now this is where things get sticky and a little icky. Bella is now at the age experienced by most children ages 6 to 11. Unfortunately for Bella, she's a fully developed woman with biological sexual needs. I'm not even going to touch that, even though I know that there are a lot of implications going on there. There are a bunch of really good video essays out there about why this isn't okay. But I'm just going to use this information to talk about how her newfound sexuality throws her into her next stage of development, industry versus inferiority. This is where middle school age children learn how to cope with social and academic demands. During this stage, children will also learn the difference between being good versus being bad. Children will develop complex skills, and those skills will be evaluated, either encouraged or disapproved of. Encouragement from teachers and parents will help a child find a good balance between industry and inferiority, leading to competence as the outcome, or the belief that a person can complete any task before them. Children who experience too much disapproval will develop self-doubt that is hard to shake in the future. Back to Bella Baxter. Bella discovers pleasuring herself through masturbation, and when she goes to show the maid and Max what she learned, she is shamed because that is not okay in polite society, or as they refer to throughout the movie. When Bella wants to leave with the criminally invasive Duncan, she's again disapproved by Max and Godwin. Even though people are consistently trying to make her feel inferior during this stage in her life, it does not work for her because she developed an overwhelming amount of confidence and willpower from the encouragement that she was receiving in her previous stages of life. Moving on to the even more sensitive stuff. Because Bella is so trusting of her environment, when Duncan takes advantage of her, I believe she views this as a sign of encouragement for her behavior. With that being said, Bella does develop competence because she was able to happily leave with Duncan without really knowing what she was getting herself into, even suffocating Max to get her way and telling Godwin that he can't stop her. During adolescence, everyone's favorite time to be alive, teenagers explore their personal identities by exercising independence and having social interactions. Teenagers who are unable to explore their identities will develop role confusion, which just means being unsure of your place in the world. Role confusion tends to lead to future problems with choosing careers, staying in relationships, and general disappointment with a weakened sense of self. Teens who are able to find a balance between identity and role confusion will develop fidelity to their identity, or a sense of commitment to one's beliefs, behaviors, and personality. I believe Bella uses sex and masturbation to explore herself, her body, and her pleasures. When Bella is intimate with Duncan, you can see in her face that she is never engaged with Duncan, but with the act of sex itself, exploring what it has to offer her. After sleeping together for days, Duncan warns Bella not to fall in love with him. He insinuates that he is a man that can't be tied down, and Bella takes this rather seriously. This moment further helps Bella learn her role in this world. After this, Bella understands that she must be able to take care of herself. When Duncan introduces her to pastis, he instructs her not only on how to eat it, but to only eat one. Later, after their conversation where he tells her not to fall in love with him, she sneaks out to go get more of the tarts. Even though indulging in the pastries leads her to throwing them up, she knows that she can learn that for herself, and she doesn't need a slimy old man like Duncan to show her that. Bella is able to truly connect with her identity when she discovers the woman singing on the balcony. This is where she is able to truly appreciate how beautiful the world and people are, which solidifies her need for exploration. Bella's first experience with role confusion is when she is approached by a woman who calls her Victoria Blessington, a name Bella is hearing for the first time. Because Bella is so firm in her identity, she immediately dismisses the woman and doesn't ever think twice about being anyone other than Bella Baxter. Later on, when Bella is at dinner with Duncan and company, he tells her to behave. She then slaps him, obviously not liking being told what to do. She ends up not using this criticism from Duncan to feel inferior. She instead uses his directions against him, resulting in one of my favorite scenes.
I fear he will not see the year out.
How marvelous. How do they get the pastry so crisp?
When Bella is having dinner alone with Duncan in the dance hall, she orders whatever she wants, despite him trying to control what she ate earlier in the film. Lastly, Duncan starts a fight with a man he thinks is flirting with Bella, which eventually leads her to throwing a cup at Duncan. All of this, combined with her grooving on the dance floor differently than everyone else, confirms that she has found fidelity in her identity, and this moves her into the next stage of her development. As a young adult, one will struggle to balance intimacy with isolation. In order to be successful in this stage, one must have a clear sense of identity, which is vital to forming committed relationships. When a person comes out of adolescence with role confusion, they struggle understanding how to form and maintain lasting relationships. When a person is overwhelmed with isolation, they tend to be depressed over the lack of connection with friends and family and no social support network. Bella's first time really exploring her relationships is when Duncan kidnaps her and traps her on the cruise ship. Her time on the ship forces her to explore her relationship with Duncan and understand why she stays with him. This is also where she makes her first real friends. Her general isolation on the ship also causes her to miss Max and Godwin for the first time since leaving. When Bella makes friends with the old lady and the cynic on the ship, they help her further understand and explore her identity as someone who is logical and philosophical. Bella, missing her family at home while also being able to make close friends that care about her, shows that Bella understands how to love. And after being on the ship for quite some time, Bella determines that her relationship with Duncan was once something she thought was a meaningful connection because she believed that he encouraged her beliefs, but now she can see that he is trying to trap her rather than help her develop her independence, unlike her friends who encourage her fidelity to her identity. At this point, Bella is pretty much caught up with her mental and physical age, but this doesn't stop her rapid development, so she moves forward. From ages 40 to 65, one desires to give back to the world and their community in a meaningful way through their careers and/or having children. This stage is defined by the internal conflict, generativity versus stagnation. This stage is about taking responsibility for one's actions and making contributions to the community one chooses to be involved in. Those who are successful during this stage gain a sense of accomplishment and pride for their work as a productive member of society and giving back to their community. Those who are unsuccessful feel uninvolved and self-centered. The outcome of finding a successful balance between generativity and stagnation is care for one's home, community, and society. The cynic on the ship tries to convince Bella that people are bad and that she is too trusting, and she wastes her time trying to understand the world in order to change it because people will always be bad to the bone. Bella is thrust into this stage when the cynic brings her to see the slums of Alexandria, where people are howling in agony because they are starving and their children are dying of heat exhaustion. When Bella sees this, she cries and tries to run to the slums to help them without any direction as to how she could possibly provide for them. But she is fortunately blocked by a broken staircase. This saddens Bella to no avail. In order to feel like she is contributing to saving these poor things, get it? Poor things? Bad timing, maybe. She takes all of Duncan's gambling earnings and gives it all to the shady dock workers, asking them to donate the money to the people in the slums. They, of course, take it for themselves. Duncan's newfound lack of funds leads them to being kicked off the ship, landing them in Paris. While in Paris, Bella discovers that she can make money from intercourse. Duncan obnoxiously breaks up with her, which leads Bella to finding community in the brothel. Bella's decision to join the brothel and engage in sex work is her way of taking responsibility for her needs. She enjoys hanky-panky and will be unable to now that Duncan is out of the picture, and she needs money to survive, so this seems like a logical choice for Bella. I don't ever think this movie tells us that what Bella is doing is the right thing, not that sex work is inherently the wrong thing, but this decision and storytelling is to show us how Bella wants to make change in the world and do the wrong things the right way. She has compassion for the men that pay, and she doesn't judge the other woman in the brothel or herself for engaging in sex work. Bella begins to question the ethics of working in the brothel after working there for some time. She goes to the madam of the brothel, confused by the men always choosing the woman instead of the woman choosing the men, thinking the latter would make it more enjoyable for everyone involved. The madam explains to her that sometimes men enjoy it more when women don't like it. She also explains to Bella that she must continue to work in order to provide for the madam's granddaughter, an infant that the madam is raising. The madam reveals this information to Bella to encourage her to be a part of this community where they are all doing their part to care for this child. I believe this child is a symbol for people choosing to raise a family as their contribution to society, and this is Bella's way of advancing the next generation. And even when the madam rejects Bella for trying to bring new ideas to the table, Bella goes out of her way to make the Johns tell her a memory, her tell them a joke, and then she smells them and douses them in lavender oil if need be, in order to make the experience more pleasurable for her and them. She does this instead of drowning in a situation that most people, pretty much everyone except Noel from Ride the Cyclone, would think is a miserable life.
I want to be that fucked up girl.
She takes responsibility for her comfort and pleasure, and she designs an experience that is pleasant for everyone. Bella also starts going to school with her lover, Toinette, who also works at the brothel. Going to school not only helps her cure her homesickness, but it helps her take pride in her identity by staying true to who she is as a scientist. When she learns Godwin is dying of cancer, she decides to go see him. While being back home, she also decides to marry Max. This is her way of contributing to her family. Her work at the brothel made her feel included in her community and gave her an opportunity to take responsibility for her needs, while her contribution to her family by marrying Max and deciding to become a doctor gives her a chance to become a productive member of society, showing she cares for her community and her family. During the ending stage of life, one looks back at their time on Earth and decides if their actions were true to their identity or if they are filled with regrets. A person who is able to look back on their life and feel satisfied will gain wisdom. Erickson defines wisdom as an informed and detached concern of life, even in the face of death. On the contrary, a person who experiences mostly regret will feel despair, which can result in serious mental and even physical health problems. While Bella doesn't directly reach this stage, she explores it through the old lady on the ship and Godwin's death. The lady on the ship tells Bella that she isn't worried about how long it's been since she last jumped someone's bones, because what's between her ears is her big concern, what's between her legs is not. Later on, Duncan starts to feel jealous of all the time the lady is spending with Bella, so he goes to throw the lady off the ship. When he tries to drag her chair overboard, she laughs it off, accepting her fate however it may be. Duncan is thankfully stopped by security before he even gets close to the the edge with the lady's chair, but as the cynic puts it, her being happy to die shows that the lady is satisfied with the life that she has lived. And with her wisdom, she encourages Bella to read and be philosophical and unbothered by Duncan's controlling tendencies. Towards the end of the film, when Godwin is on the verge of death, Bella confronts him about what he did to her, letting him know that it was inhumane for him to use her as an experiment and create Felicity the same way he created her. While I believe Godwin does feel regret for lying to Bella and creating Felicity without showing her any of the care he showed Bella, I know he doesn't regret the time he was able to spend with Bella as his pseudo-daughter, watching her develop into an intelligent, independent, and interesting woman. The closest Bella gets to experiencing this stage herself is when she is confronted by her old life as Victoria Blessington. While Bella is getting married to Max, Alfie Blessington comes to take Bella away. Initially, Max and Godwin tell Alfie to fuck off, but Bella chooses to go with Alfie, curious about what life could have been so bad that made Victoria hippity hop off a bridge. While living there for a short while, she discovers that Victoria was a miserable and mean woman, living with her horrifying, controlling husband, Alfie. During her time living as Victoria, she is able to feel accomplished and fulfilled by her life as Bella Baxter. After, she discovers that Victoria felt the exact opposite about her life. When Alfie threatens Bella with a gun, she confronts it without any concern for life itself when she says that she would rather die than live with Alfie. We see here that Bella has integrity in her identity because she's able to confront death and be satisfied with the life she had lived. In the end, we see Bella has embraced being a doctor and now lives at home with the people she cares for the most, on her way to living a life that will one day bring her complete wisdom and satisfaction. And that's it! That's how Poor Things uses Erikson's theory of human development to define Bella Baxter's progress throughout the movie. I think if you're on the fence about this movie because of the overuse of NSFW scenes and the ethical concerns of the way Bella is treated, hopefully looking at the movie in this way might help you enjoy it more. But before I go, I do have to mention the men in this movie. I know there are a lot of opinion pieces out there about this movie being problematic because of the men in it, and while I do think all of the men in this movie are the worst kind of people, period, I also think that this movie believes that too. And I don't think we're supposed to root for any of the men in this movie. I would love to maybe make a video essay breaking down the men in this movie and explaining why they're all horrible and how the film tells us that. So if that is something you're interested in seeing, please let me know in the comments below. And that is all for today. Please take everything I said with a grain of salt. I took AP Psychology in high school almost a decade ago, and all the information I got regarding Erikson's theory of human development was from memory and a single very well-mined article that I will link down below because I'm a lazy researcher. If you think I missed anything or got anything wrong, please feel free to let me know in the comments. And please let me know what you thought of this movie. I know it's a very controversial film, so I am completely expecting more people to say that they hated it than loved it. And if you do hate this movie, I completely respect your opinion. And I understand why this movie wouldn't be someone's cup of tea with its sometimes triggering imagery and subject matter. And with that, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And if you made it this far, I will now give you a very tender virtual forehead kiss. Ciao, friends and foes!